Hi, everybody. It's Jeremy, the Existential Wine Guy, coming at you live on a pre-Thanksgiving Day Wine Wednesday. I want to thank you for joining me. Every Thanksgiving I get a lot of questions like what type of wine should be served on Thanksgiving. Turkey is one of those weird things. It's a sort of a white meat. It's a little darker, and people seem to get a little confused or even worried about the type of wines to be served on Thanksgiving. Really, you shouldn't be in any way, shape, or form. We're going to go through a couple that I'm going to be serving tomorrow night. In just a minute, we'll sort of get to that. But just to let you know a little bit about me, if this is your first time tuning in, I'm Jeremy Marin. I'm broadcasting live from Chez Marin and down here in Sacramento right now. We are currently blessed with, we finally got some rain. Last time we had rain was in October, and the time before that, I think, was like 5 months before that. If you haven't heard, Northern California is going through a bit of this fire thing that happens to be going on, and even the areas that aren't directly affected by the fires up there in Paradise, Sacramento's about 100 miles away. We are still affected by the smoke that has come in, and it has just been absolutely brutal. You literally just can't go outside. The city itself has been issuing gas masks or particle masks, and it's been really tough. So the rain has just started today for the first time. We are absolutely thankful for it, and that's one thing we can be thankful for as we move into the Thanksgiving Day holiday weekend. Starting off, let's jump right into it. What is the first wine or first beverage you should share with people on Thanksgiving? And for me, it's kind of a no-brainer. I am all about tomorrow night we're going to be serving up, this is going to be the Folktale Brut sparkling wine. Absolutely fantastic. First of all, champagne, anytime you sort of, or I should say sparkling, anytime you are offering it up, it gives that moment a sense of occasion. So you can almost like really never go wrong with starting off with a nice light, and in this case, I'm going to say more a drier style of sparkling wine. It clears up the palate, it's pretty easy, and if at all possible, because there are so many different sparkling wines out there with various levels of sugar and acid, I really like to go with a much lower alcohol and much lower sugared sparkling wine. I think it just takes whatever you've eaten or whatever you had previously off your tongue and just kind of really invites the palate for whatever's going to be coming next. This particular one is the one that I like as well because it has a lower alcohol. It's about 11.1%. So it means that if you have family coming over, Uncle Chester is going to be a little less annoying, or he's going to be annoying, but it's going to be annoying a little later on in the evening, not right away. So it's a sparkling wine that you can just serve up as people show up. It's still good in the morning because a lot of people, when we're having family over, we start drinking a lot earlier. This is a good one, really, to go ahead and start with. As we go through today's broadcast, I'm also going to be talking about traditions, Thanksgiving Day traditions, and I want to find out from you, if you're willing to share them, what are the fun things that you kind of look forward to on Thanksgiving, or what you even expect. I have to say that for me personally, I don't have a lot. I kind of, when I got out on my own, a guy who's going to sort of try to buck tradition, I stepped away from it. And even though I've hosted quite a few Thanksgivings, rarely have I ever, actually this might be the first one that we're going to do tomorrow night, have I ever really hosted with a big turkey. I had a world famous Thanksgiving Day meatloaf, which was absolutely fun and exciting, and kind of threw everybody's palate off. Well, I would say their expectation, maybe not their palate. And last year, kind of last minute, I served up a duck, which was absolutely fantastic. It was the first time I had roasted a whole duck, and it came out amazing. It was a smaller crowd then, but we had a lot of fun with it. Anyway, so if you're joining me, including Art, and oh hey Charlene, always good to see you. Let me know I'd love to hear what your traditions are. So the next wine we're going to move to, I find one thing that's interesting with turkey, actually in the old rule of how to serve wines or what wines to serve, we tend to serve them by the protein. Basically white wines with fish and poultry, and red wines with beef and lamb and moving on up. And I think there's been more of a trend lately to step away from that, to actually pair wines by flavors that you're intending rather than just the poultry. But you know, like I said, a lot of people like white wine when it's for Thanksgiving. So my next wine that I wanted to recommend up there, or the next wine I'm going to be serving tomorrow night, is it's a Napa Chardonnay, actually from Aviary. Napa Chardonnays, you know, have an interesting reputation. Sometimes called my favorite nickname for it is cougar juice, and that's usually going to apply to a style of Chardonnay that's going to go through full malolactic, so it's going to have some butter iodes, you know, that butter and popcorny note to it, as well as a lot of oak on it. So you're gonna get that as well. So usually when you get those type of wines, it's going to hit that palate. It's going to be nice and smooth and almost sometimes silky and luscious or luxurious, I should say, on the palate. That's an absolutely fantastic wine to serve with dinner, especially if you're going to do your traditional turkey, the turkey with gravy, and it can sort of, a Chardonnay with turkey, and especially with that gravy, it feels good. They complement each other very well. Also, it's kind of nice to clean up that palate a little bit after you've had, you know, the mashed potatoes and these really heavy carbs. A lot of times, turkey gets blamed for that, either bloated or what's the other way? The tiredness, the sleepiness that you get from actually eating turkey. That's actually usually not the case. It actually isn't the compound in the turkey. It really is all the carbs you're consuming along with everything else. This Chardonnay is going to be nice. It's going to be slightly a little bit lighter, but still luxurious, and it's really just going to complement the meal really well with just everything that's on the plate. Again, if you're just joining me, I'm Jeremy, the Existential Wine Guy. We're talking about Thanksgiving. We're talking about the expectations we have, the rituals, what we love to see in a meal. Also, I kind of want to talk about the idea of gratitude itself. I had a friend of mine who posted that, it was kind of a slight against Thanksgiving. Basically, he's going to go celebrate by eating a big bird to celebrate people, you know, murdering his ancestors in the past. And you know, I think that as we move into a more woke society, we have to understand that these traditions and the rituals we have, like Thanksgiving, can be offensive to other people, or other people might take offense to it. I think it's a perfectly valid argument either way. You know, a lot of people say, hey, it's just Thanksgiving. And other people say, yeah, it's celebrating, you know, the killing and, you know, taking away of the lands of, you know, my ancestors. I get it. For me personally, I have to say that Thanksgiving is just one of those times that I have the opportunity to be grateful for the things that I have right now. And those things are my wife, being able to work into the wine industry, having copious amounts of wine around me all the time. These are all things that I'm just absolutely, thankful for, and don't mind sharing a meal with friends to help celebrate that type of gratitude. Anyway, again, I would love to hear from anybody out there about their Turkey Day traditions. I've got from Charlene that her daughter-in-law is going to be serving a Shiraz with turkey and lamb. Man, that sounds absolutely fantastic. And actually, I have to say it's a pretty nice segue into my next wine, because I'm one of those guys that I want to drink red wine just about all the time. It doesn't matter the time of year. It could be the hottest summer day. I'll chill it down a little bit. It'll be the coldest winter night. I'll find something to do with it. And, Turkey Day, Thanksgiving, is usually a combination of both. So the third wine I will be serving for Thanksgiving will be a Pinot Noir. This Pinot Noir is from Alias. This is also a Napa Pinot Noir, or actually they call it a California Pinot Noir. And I think actually after tasting it, that's a pretty good description. Pinot Noirs can be all over the place. They can be super fruity and luscious on the palate. I always think of like a sort of a Napa California style on that for sure. You can go absolutely the opposite way, a little bit on the lighter side with lots of earth and like mushroomy and barn and all those kind of wonderful notes that go with Pinot Noir. This one kind of is right in the middle. It's not overly fruity, which is nice. It's going to ring really true with the turkey and the gravies and the stuffing and all, and sweet potatoes. Also, for me personally, I really enjoy having this style of red wine when I'm having that type of meal. I know this is a meal that is probably going to be a little bit carb friendly, or carb heavy, I should say, even when it's not carb heavy. Specifically, you'll have like sweet potatoes and yams and things like that, with all the sweetness that seems to be available in the average Thanksgiving Day meal. Sometimes it's nice to have something that's going to cut through that a little bit, take some of those sugars off of your palate, so when you go back to eating turkey and everything else, you can actually taste the food. This is going to be I think really my first time preparing a very large turkey for a large amount of people, probably 15 or 16. For me, that's a large amount of people. So it's just kind of interesting to see how wines will affect your meal, the type of what's the right way to put this? The right way, how to actually plan for the meal, what you want your wine to do for it. To me, that's I geek out on it. That's really a lot of fun. That's why a lot of people will say, "Oh, hey, they're not even thinking about maybe one or two wines. They're just thinking one, and that's fine too. So whatever you like." And going back to that, I think that's one thing that we need to talk about is whatever you happen to like, that's what you should be serving. So if you're a guy who likes, I don't know, Dr. Pepper and whiskey, go to it and good luck. You'll probably be out pretty quick, but you'll enjoying yourself while you're doing it. I want to say hi to a couple people. Thank you so much, Veronica, for stopping by. Kitty Gaga joined in. Thank you so much. Casual Chef One, thank you so much for joining me. It's that might be your first time here. Confessions of a Sparrow, you finally made it. Thank you. It's been a while. Again, if you haven't spoken out yet, I'd love to hear from you. What are the things you look forward to in a Thanksgiving Day meal? And also, what do you like drinking during it? Also, I have to say that I will be not just serving wine. I have lots of people who are coming over who, hey, you know what? Beer is their thing. Fantastic. You're probably going to be serving up one of two things, actually probably two things. IPAs I think are really kind of fun for this type of meal because they serve in some cases almost like a palate cleanser to a certain extent. They can wipe out a lot of the sugar that happens to be in that meal. The other thing is I'm going to go absolutely the opposite way, and a nice coffee stout beer would be, that would probably be my dessert to a certain extent, because it's really a lot of fun. Let's take a quick sip here. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm scrolling through. Jay Coffee joined me. Thank you so much. Who else do we have here? We already said hi to Veronica. Jana Marlise, my honey. Yeah, so she's there as well. And we have a few others jumping in. Drew, thank you so much. It's always good to see you on board here. Also, so if you have any questions about the type of wines that you can serve, what would you serve? Veronica is asking me what I'm having right now, and I am having the Alias Pinot Noir. Almost all these wines you can find, I think, at least at Whole Foods, and there's other sort of outlets out there as well. Gonna get rid of that notification. Thank you so much. It's really like, Pinot Noir is one of those wines that for me, I've always gone back and forth with. Like, just sometimes, I taste a Pinot and it just hits me so right. And then there's days when I think about having a glass of Pinot Noir, and it just doesn't it just doesn't do it for me. So other wines that I think, other red wines, I should say, that I think would be really nice. Let us not forget Merlot. I know Merlot seems to be a much maligned wine these days, but and it's actually kind of had a curious effect. When that movie came out, we've talked about this before, but when the movie came out, and we all know the one, it killed it. People just stopped drinking it. It used to be, you know, a wine that's been, you know, made and served for over 1,000 years. All of a sudden, you know, it can't make it onto a wine menu at any type of restaurant. I think that there's one thing about that Merlot, because it was so popular for such a long time, that there was a lot of maybe bad Merlot that was made out there, and it was just so easily available that that's kind of what ended up on, you know, in supermarket aisles and in restaurants and things like that. Now that it has fallen out of favor, what you're starting to see is like a lot more craft Merlot, a lot of like artisan-made Merlot is finding its way out there into the market. And as a result, there's just some extraordinary Merlots out there. So that's definitely, never say no to Cabernet Sauvignon as well. I mean, those are always a lot of fun. And also, I think more with this holiday than probably any other, sometimes like, you know, a peppery Zinfandel, you know, maybe something out of the, you know, certain Lodi or the Sierra foothills. Zinfandels from those areas are absolutely fantastic. I would say my favorite, going back to Sonoma, is Zinfandels from the Dry Creek area. Absolutely would be wonderful to pair with just about any turkey. Charlene is talking about how she likes her, and I think we're talking about Pinot Noirs a little bit on the fruitier side. Yeah, a lot of people do. It's a really popular style here in Central and actually even Northern California. So those are ones to give a try to. Again, if you're just joining me, I'm Jeremy, the Existential Wine Guy, coming at you live from the kitchen of Chez Marron here in Sacramento, California. We are grateful for the rain that is falling. We haven't seen a lot lately. The air has been so bad, and to have the rain come down and a nice glass of Pinot Noir, certainly things to be thankful for. Again, any questions that you have, a lot of times I don't get a lot of questions during the show, but I definitely get them after the fact, because I got a lot of people who view these things afterwards. Please, I will get to you. I will definitely address any questions. I go through all the comments all the time, and sometimes I'll even direct message you again after the fact if you've to answer a question that you might have. So we're coming up at the end of our time. Not a lot of questions right now, but I just want to say that I'm grateful. I have gratitude that I have the opportunity to do this type of broadcast, that people actually watch it on occasion is absolutely fantastic, and that's something that I'm grateful for this time of year. Again, the wines that we went over today, obviously, sparkling wine upon entry. It is a great first thing to pour for your guests. And you don't always need like a champagne flute. Regular wine glasses will work just as well. From Aviary, this is a Napa-style Chardonnay, like we said, full malolactic, so we got lots of those butter notes to it, as well as a fair amount of oak. This one doesn't go overboard, and that's why I like it. I don't like too much oak, too much butter on it, but this seems to you know, ride the edge of that just really nicely. So it's an excellent one to go ahead and serve your guests. You can feel confident doing that. And then lastly, again, from our friends over at Alias, the Pinot Noir. This is 2017. Absolutely fantastic. And again, with all of these wines, you can feel really confident in serving this, if not these specific wines, this particular style. All right, guys, that's the end of my time today. I hope everybody has a safe and really fantastic Thanksgiving Day. Cheers. How do I end this? This is always the worst part.